guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Jen Rodriguez, and we are back with another episode of Wind Down and Chill. This is a really cool episode, you guys. I am joined by Shandra Stewart, who is a mental health clinician. We are talking on the topic of expectations versus reality, especially in the realm of dating, but also just dealing with trauma and also like mental health and how that plays a role in some of the expectations we put on ourselves and our partner in relationships. But before we get started, I have to tell you where this unit comes from, okay? This video is sponsored by Longqi wigs. It's actually from Amazon, y'all. Let me show you the box. They sent me this beautiful wig for this video, so thank you so much to you guys for letting me try this unit. It's a 14-inch Brazilian hair wig. It's definitely human hair. It feels really soft and feels really good. I don't know about 14 inches though. I feel like it's giving more like 12 inches vibes. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. It really took me like 2 seconds. And then I added this cute headband. This came from a shirt, you guys. So that is my look for today. Again, thank you to Longqi Wigs for sponsoring this video. But I have to tell you what I'm sipping on today, you guys. This is a really yummy Moscato punch. I saw this online, but I've also tried this like with getting together with my girlfriends or just a really nice quiet night in. To make this drink, all that you do is put gummy bears at the bottom of your glass, pour in your favorite wine. I'm using Moscato for today. Then you pour in a little bit of Sprite to add some sizzle. You know, you gotta let it sizzle in your spirit. And then, you know me, I love to add a little fruit, so I added some strawberries to the top. Y'all, this is so delicious. It's a yummy goodie. So let's go ahead and get into this live and talk about expectations versus reality.
How you doing? I don't know. I hope my internet, it was getting a little spotty there, so I'm hoping it don't act up.
Girl, you know how we roll. We're gonna keep it rolling and we're gonna keep it going. Hello, yes, glasses. Nisha said yes, glasses.
Girl, I told my daughter, I was like, wait, I'm missing something. I'm like, I can't see it. Let me get my glasses.
All right, so Shandra, why don't you share with us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then share with us what you're sipping on, because it's looking kind of cute.
This is my glass that my friend Vanika made for us. It was a birthday party favor for a birthday of hers a couple years ago. So,
okay.
Kudos to her. But yeah, this is just a margarita, girl. Just margarita.
Oh no, that's
margarita.
Honestly, I love a good margarita. I don't drink them all the time or anything like that, but they are so good.
Yeah, it's just kind of like one of those staple like things you literally can have anytime, anywhere, you know? So
yeah, sometimes
I just stick to the basics. When I don't know what to drink, I do margarita. Boom. So yes, as she mentioned, my name is Shandra Stewart to be exact. Celebrated 2 years of marriage a couple days ago. Which
happy anniversary.
Which will be a later discussion because actually been almost 13 years with my partner. So, but 2 years of marriage. So yes, that was exciting and fun. Yes, as you mentioned, I am a mental health clinician. Specifically, I serve the substance use disorder population. So persons who are experiencing substance misuse and co-occurring mental health disorders. So that's my day-to-day 9 to 5 that I work with, that I do.
Nice.
And I'm a mother, a wife.
Yes, girl. All the things. All the things, all the hats. Just everything. So mother, wife. You do it all. Like you are just, that's a whole nother realm that I can't even like imagine. So kudos to you for all the work that you do, because I know that work is not easy, especially dealing with like substance abuse and stuff. So I am excited to talk to you about some of our topics today and kind of get into it because it's gonna be good. So like I said, me and Shandra follow a lot of the same Instagram accounts, and one account that we follow, what is it called? Spiritual Word. And there were a couple different memes or Twitter posts that made it to Spiritual World that me and Chandra both, I noticed we were both liking, and we kind of bumped into each other in the comments like either yes, I feel you on that, or like no, like what are you talking about? But the one that was really funny was actually one that Chandra found today that says something like, people just don't know how to vibe anymore. Like they almost have like too much expectations for the relationships that they're in. Why can't people just talk, date, hang out? Like, why does it have to turn into this really serious relationship that leads to marriage so fast? Like, why can't you just vibe and know who you're dealing with? Like, know who to vibe with and know, I have noisy kids in the hallway, but know who to vibe with and know who to like move forward with. So I found that really interesting because I know for me, thinking back to when I first started dating, it really was very like boom, 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 boom. Like almost no matter who I was talking to, whatever, I was thinking like marriage, kids. Like I was thinking about that next step. But this person's like totally challenging that. So what do you have to say about expectations versus reality? And like what was that process like going from dating into marriage? Like did your expectations change? Girl, talk to us.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. And I had a different, to be honest, I had a different kind of direction I was going to go, but I just kind of thought of some new things as you were speaking right now. So,
yeah.
And to be honest and being fully transparent, like that was one of my fears because we had dated so long. And I was thinking like, dang, like, what if we get married and then we're like divorced, like, you know, shortly thereafter? I think for me, the reason why I may have thought that was because, to be honest, I was never a person that like idolized marriage in that way. Like I didn't grow up being that girl who like, oh, I can't wait till I get married and my dress is going to look like this. And, you know, I just never had those ideas. And I will say that and I can't really say that that stemmed from my childhood because my mother was married when I was younger several times. No shade to her, but you know,
Yeah.
just saying like I had it, you know, I seen it over and over again, you know, so it wasn't like I never had that vision. However, I don't think I never had a conversation though, like, you know, so when we're speaking about expectations, I feel like it's really important and very imperative actually to have these discussions with your children and with your family. Like our family of origin and like that nuclear family that you grow up into is very important to have these crucial conversations. And I think that sometimes we you know, kind of shade our kids and think, oh, they don't need to know these conversations, or, you know, like you know, it's not important for them to know. Yeah. However, it is, you know, to talk about relationships, talk about marriage, talk about sex, talk about drugs, you know, and all these things that we sometimes want to shield our kids from, and assuming that, you know, they'll learn about it later on in life. But that's where we go wrong, because then, as we're speaking right now, we get these wrong ideas and we formulate these ideas from these perceptions that we may see from social media, from TV, from our classmate, you know, things like that. So all I have to say is that, yes, expectations are definitely formalized from, you know, outside influences, where when in actuality it should be formulated in the home. And I think that you don't have like that, you know, and I would say, and just a full disclaimer, I'm not a relationship expert. Like that's not even my field of expertise or anything. But as being a, you know, mental health clinician and being a social worker, I'm rooted and grounded in understanding this idea or the concept of how human development and how we develop and how we should develop naturally, to reduce the stigma or the idea that marriage has to be this cookie cutter approach is something that really should be explored and just dissected to the point where you, although having all these influences, still are able to say, you know, one day obviously come to your own conclusion of what it's going to mean for you. Because I think that's the key too, as well, as that like we want to, you know, use someone else's example and to be our example. So then you're mad when your partner fails you, you know?
Right. Girl, all of that. Like, first of all, you said something that, a couple things I just have to like reiterate because first of all, you said that oh my gosh, please don't lose it, girl. Please don't lose it. It was so good. Okay, first of all, just like expectations starting at home. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that we grew up like in a similar type of household, at least from what I remember. And sometimes when expectations are laid out for you, you don't really get a lot of room to explore or try. Now, mind you, my mom always told me you don't have to experience everything, and that's very true. That honestly kept me from a lot of dangerous situations, so kudos to my mom for that. But I think that when it's so tight, it's like you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing or why you have the routine that you have. You just know that it's what you do. So when you get older and you start to maybe understand things differently or want to try things outside the norm, it's almost like you're kind of stuck, because it's like, well, this is what I was taught, but I'm feeling something different, or I want to cultivate something on my own, which leads me to something else you said, how marriage should be explored. What an adventure. Like, even just thinking of it that way, it takes like
The pressure, you know, like that
the pressure off
because
of
at
it.
the end of the day, like people, like you can't assume that your partner knows what you expect unless you talked about it. But even then, that can kind of get a little jaded because, you know, then that person feels like they got to live up to those expectations, and that they don't, then, you know, that's going to cause some friction, and, you know, that's a whole nother story. So I always err on the side of, and I've learned this, and which is why it took me a while to get married, because it was on my own accord, that I had to learn the fact that I never disclose these parts of myself to my partner from my own protection. I'm so guarded, just in that fear of like abandonment, you know. And something that I didn't even know, and I had to entertain that, you know, and not run away from it. And so and how this kind of correlates with my substance abuse approach is that, you know, I one of the key elements of substance misuse is the fact of lack of control. And I think it just goes back to the golden rule, you know, treat people how you want to be treated. And then a little extra step is take accountability for your actions, because I feel like people want to always like do this dissonance of putting it on someone else for how you treated that person, but not listening, because we call this active listening in the social work world, like really actively listening to what this person has maybe said to you or share with you or you saw or whatever, and just really being mindful that you are in control of your anger. So
exactly,
you got to take accountability for that. Like, you can't allow someone else to control your emotions. And so sometimes we, I think, do petty things with partners, or like we know what's going to piss them off, and we know what's going to annoy them, and we know kind of what's going to push their buttons, or you know, you actually know what's going to make them happy, and you know, all those things too. So just don't play those games, right? Or like just pay attention to that person's feelings, or pay attention to that person's responses. And I'm going to tell you wholeheartedly, I'm not one quick to say I'm sorry. And so my husband has really taught me that, you know, and I will say, you know, he's really good for that. Like, he will, even if I'm in the wrong. I'm never wrong. But no, even if I'm in the wrong, you know, he's quick to apologize, you know. But I mean, I'm working on that. But me just being conscious and saying, and we talk about this a lot, he and I, about just the control factor and understanding that no, like I mean, if you feel like I did this to you, I can't be responsible for how you reacted though. Like that's not on me. That's on you.
Yeah, but you had so many good you had so many good points as far as that accountability is concerned, because I definitely have been that type of person that just doesn't like to say, like, if I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not saying I'm sorry. Why would I do that? Like, but that also comes from me wanting to be not really perfect, but I don't like to mess up.
Yeah.
Even though mistakes is how you learn, even though mistakes is how you grow, I know that. But because getting in trouble used to always be like my greatest fear, it's honestly kept me from wanting to admit when I'm wrong, or to be the first to apologize. And sometimes too, it's like I don't even want to share if someone else is doing something that bothers me, because I've always just been in an environment where it's like, oh, y'all fighting as siblings, just get up, y'all siblings. Get over it. Sing the Bernie I Love You song to each other and move on. Like, that's pretty, because that's your sister, and that's, you know, that's your brother, and that's how you just move on. But you never really learn how to like communicate. So I think that's such a huge, like, that's such a huge key. And, you know, now that you mention that, because we talked about expectations with marriage and stuff like that, but it's tricky when you're talking about a situation where you might be that whole talking phase that I just, it's annoying. But there are those situations where maybe you're not in a committed relationship, but you know, you're dealing with each other, whatever. And I think that scares the heck out of me, because you know, I think underneath, and the reason why some people in the comments were sounding off so hard was because it was like, well, without that commitment, you know, I could get played, I could do this, I could do that. And at the end of the day, it can happen anyway.
Thank you. Bottom line. But again, what does that go back to, right?
Expectations.
You only control what you can control.
It's the control.
You don't have anything to do with what, I mean, like, I can't say you don't have anything to do with that person has going on. However, until you have the conversation and say to that person, are we exclusive? Is it just going to be you and I?
Right.
Even if they lie to you, you know, we know that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If it turns out to be that they lied and they got someone on the side, then again, it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that.
Do what you do.
You know? So I just, like I said, I'm just so big on this era of control. Like, I only can control what I can control. And so
Absolutely.
if I work on controlling me, my feelings, my emotions, my behaviors, my responses, understanding that if I do something that's gonna, like, you know, taint that or whatever, then that's me. Again, accountability, right? Like, if I choose to go out and do whatever I'm gonna do, I gotta own that in any kind of way. So
100%. And I think sometimes people keep this expectation of, again, that fairy tale. Especially for women, we're fed that fairy tale of the prince coming in and, you know, he's denying all others, and we're at the castle getting married. Like, that's the dream that we are sold. And if it doesn't happen that way, the guy doesn't respect you, he doesn't value you, he doesn't blah blah blah. I feel like we're entering into this age, and I don't know what kind of age it is, if it's the hot girl summer age or what it is, but we're entering into this age where people are now like, you know what? I want to casually get to know this person. And it may not be the most romantic way that it's done, but I feel like people are moving a lot slower now. They're developing friendships. And a lot of the communication kinks that you would work out when you're in a marriage or a dating relationship, you're working out as friends. You're enjoying each other's company. You're, doing things that they like. You're doing things that you like. You know what I mean? Like, you're just enjoying each other's company. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily sleeping together or anything like that, like you do. But you're just getting to know that person, and you're allowing them into your space, and you're kind of seeing how they fit. And I feel like people are almost afraid to do that, again, because the lack of control. They want to control the situation. And ultimately, no matter what situation you're in, whether you have a ring on your finger or not, you cannot control what that person does. I mean, honestly, if you think about a marriage, a lot of the things outside of like the intimate things and stuff like that are things that you would do with your friend, like praying together, being somebody that you can depend on or call. You may not be sharing finances, but just that sense of vulnerability, like that should be somebody that you build that trust with. And I like, honestly, that whole like idea, again, it goes against everything that has been, because you date for marriage. Like, when you don't even date them until there's someone that you can see yourself marrying. And that doesn't mean that you don't have a period of friendship, but there was always, like, especially within like church, there was always this, where like if they're friends, you can tell that they were kind of getting to know each other. It was like, oh, what are they doing? What's happening? Yeah. Like, then everybody's trying to get in the mix, and it's like, well, wait a minute now, like, hold on. So I think that, with me being like newly single, I am so glad that we're having this, conversation, because I think that it's now less of a stigma to be able to have that type of relationship with somebody. And I think, like you said, as long as boundaries are there, as long as you're able to communicate and say, hey, I think I'm at a place where I'm desiring a relationship. Do you feel the same? And if they say no, being okay with walking away or continuing the way that things are. I mean, it's up to the person, not for me. I don't want nobody that don't want me. So you tell me you don't want me in any way, shape, or form. You show me you don't want me. I'm talking to both cameras. You show me you don't want me in any way, shape, or form. So there's something.
But wait a minute, though. You gotta. But wait a minute, though, because you have to understand that.
Are you gonna?
No. And so I'm gonna say, because so I told a friend this a little bit ago too, because I was having this conversation. I said, because she's single and she has guy friends, and I said to her, I said, but don't ever count out. I said, don't count nobody out though, just because they're a friend. Like, some of these relationships started because they were friends, right? And if you watch that show, weren't some people told that, no, I'm not interested, or like, I have a man, like I have a girl, but they still remain friends even though they dated other people, right?
True.
So you just never know what the cards may be for you.
There's that little bit of control inside that still wants to be like, bye.
You got it right.
See you later.
Be able to
but it's a guard. It's a total guard.
Yes.
It's a
And I think that's because I think again, well, that's a childhood thing because we were told like, oh, I know for me, like being friends with a boy was kind of like, you gotta be friends with a boy, like you gotta
like
hang
what
around
for?
girls,
To
like
do
you know.
what?
So and so I think if you're not like okay with that, then it's kind of hard to know that as an adult that you really can only like you really can just have guy friends and that just be it. That's totally normal though, to be honest, Jennifer. That at this age in your life, being 30, plus or whatever, that this is when we and I should probably know this, but this stage in our life is called something that relates to what you just talked about. And so I've been drinking, so my brain is there.
Margarita gone.
But it totally aligns with what you're experiencing because when we're in our 20s, we're making those irrational decisions, right? Those irrational thoughts and beliefs and ideas that aren't really formulated into a plan or, a decision because we have poor decision-making skills at that time in life. Because to be honest, fun fact, our brain doesn't even fully develop until we're 25 years old. On average, if we don't misuse and abuse substances prior to then, so that it can properly develop. So, and that affects that frontal lobe, that frontal cortex. And so that is your decision-making process. And so if you're unable to make decisions properly, then you're definitely going to make some bad choices. So
good to know.
It explains our 20s in a whole nutshell as to why we do the things that we do in our 20s.
You wrap this all up with a pretty little bow. Seriously, because it all goes full circle. And I've been there where it's like you're both projecting your expectations on each other and you end up just going in circles because I want this or I want that. Well, what you did made me do this. Well, what you did made me do that. Like we can point fingers all day long. We can go back and forth for 50 years if we want to, but I don't want to do that for 50 years.
Exactly.
I want to thrive. I want to grow. And in order to do that, somebody's got to make the move to just throw up their hands and say, you know what, we're, like you said, going back to that friendship, like we're friends. We shouldn't even be having this type of conversation. Like what? It's almost like coworkers arguing at work. Like for me, it's like we're both on the same team. We work at the same company. We both get paid.
Exactly.
Why? Like just return the email. I don't care if you use a period or exclamation point. Like I really don't care. Like let's just make this money and let's go home and enjoy our families.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God, this was so helpful. Just getting past expectations, looking at the reality, embracing it, exploring something new. I absolutely love it. So Shandra, thank you so much again for just jumping on, for all your expertise, your energy. Girl, you brought it. You brought the fire today, girl.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys so much. Instagram, YouTube, thank you guys so much for hanging out. This was such a blessing for me, just hearing from Shandra, just her expertise again. Thank you again, Shandra, for joining. You all have an amazing day. If you're catching this on the replay, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram, the conversation does not have to stop. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think about expectations versus reality. Enjoy your night. And again, clink, clink.